vegans and vegetarians, people are so overly sensitive that you can't even use the phrase bringing home the bacon. Well, I mean, you can, because this is America. And, what I struggle with is when things like this happen, it makes me want to use the phrase even more and just be even more offensive. That's not a good thing. Gosh, that's just ridiculous. Bringing home the bacon. I had some bacon this weekend, by the way, if you can't tell. All right, so we've got, let's see, what else do we have? See, today, what do we have? Oh, is this the story right here? What does it say here? According to the independent phrases like bringing home the bacon and putting all your eggs in one basket aren't merely harmless quirks of the English language, but actually phrases that could be offending vegans and vegetarians. Oh, so they could be offending vegans and vegetarians. The poor malnourished. The Daily Wire says those poor malnourished souls. Wow, that's great. Hey, here in a couple minutes we'll be starting the program. If you're just joining us, we really appreciate you being with us today. Matter of fact, let me pull up the Facebook Live video. We're broadcasting, obviously, across Facebook, YouTube. You guys know this. We're going to try a little experiment this morning. Let's see. That's me being cycled back through. We're going to be trying a little experiment this morning. When we get to the top of the next hour, we're going to end this video. I'm going to say this again. We're going to end this video and start another one. It's a technical experiment we're going to see. So that would mean you're going to get another notification and there'll be a second hour video, okay? So I want to say good morning, Cosmo. Cosmo, what a great name. What a great name. You know, I've been doing a lot of research into the success of the Seinfeld series recently. Don't ask me how or why, but I just have. Let's see. Good morning, Dennis, Reggie, Tim, Gary, Randy. We appreciate you guys listening right now. We're going to get started here in about 20 seconds. Yeah, we do have a parody character named Cosmo. Anyway, just hang tight here. We got to start the show in 5.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
I'm always paranoid I'm going to misspell the whiteboard. I mean, I double check. I make the list. I check it twice if you get my drift. But I'm always paranoid that I'm going to get on the air and then I'm going to look behind me in my monitor and I'm going to have a misspelled word somewhere. We do have a new whiteboard up between now and the rest of the week. It's really just like a cautious phrase. I think one of the things as conservatives we don't want would be red rhetoric and blue results. So just a friendly tip. Just want to caution people who are in positions of power, who get into those positions of power with red rhetoric, but then deliver blue results. Now, this doesn't always happen, but that's just something I think we should be guarding against. Don't you agree? Let's support those politicians who run for office and they use popular Republican or red ideas, red rhetoric to convince the people to vote for them. And let's continue to support them by saying, hey, we're so glad that you believe the way we do. Please make that a reality. That's why, as far as the radio program goes, the intersection of conservative ideas and reality, I want to see these ideas actually implemented. We don't, however, because I think anybody would think that it would be wrong to get elected using red rhetoric, but then delivering blue results. You know, getting elected by using the ideas of one side, but then implementing the ideas of the other side just doesn't seem like that's very fair or honest. The telephone number, 870-275-9799 this morning. Good morning, Dorothy, on Facebook Live, as well as the YouTube page. We appreciate you guys listening to the program. We have a great show for you. Now, today is the runoff election. So if you were unfortunate enough to get to get 51% or 50 plus 1 during the midterm elections a couple of weeks ago, today's going to be your runoff. So I believe that would be what do we got? The Little Rock mayor. You've got that situation going on. You also have, I believe, in Pocahontas, Jacksonville, Russellville. Matter of fact, we'll be talking to the one candidate for Russellville, Mayor Richard Harris. You know, I understand that one of the big issues, obviously, from the November midterm elections in Pope County, which is where Russellville is located, is the casino issue. Because we voted to put two new casinos, and expand the existing two into full-fledged casinos right here in Arkansas. And one of those casinos is supposed to go in Pope County, but Pope County overwhelmingly rejected it. They rejected meaning they didn't support it. And so I'm interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. This is going to at least be an exercise in local government versus a bunch of people that don't even live in Pope County getting to tell Pope County what to do. I think a lot of people would say, hey, that doesn't seem right. I mean, even if you like to gamble, that doesn't seem right to me. So we'll talk to Richard Harris at the top of the next hour. The Family Council President Jerry Cox will be with us. They recently had a fundraiser. I want to ask him about how that went. I understand it went well. And then I want to ask him about his agenda for the upcoming session here in Arkansas. Family Council obviously focusing on the family and traditional American values, that sort of thing, trying to preserve the family. Obviously, we could cite plenty. Speaking of casinos, we could cite plenty of examples over the course of American history where the family unit has been diminished over time. As a matter of fact, I don't know if anybody caught the Ben Shapiro interview of Pastor John MacArthur, but it's up on YouTube, and it was a fascinating interview, and there was a lot of focus on the family unit, and I thought that was a pretty good part. There's also a lot of focus on Jesus, which was also extremely refreshing to hear someone talk about the scriptures the way John MacArthur does. And a lot of you out there listening are probably carrying around on the dashboard of your car a John MacArthur study Bible. Why is it in your car? Well, that's for you to answer. Sorry. Listen, maybe you're taking it to a Bible study, and then maybe you're leaving it there. No, I'm just playing I'm playing Mr. McJudgy this morning on the radio. The telephone number 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? You know what? I do think I would like to I do think I would like to go over at some point with you, Joe, some of the things that John MacArthur said in that interview about America's founding in terms of, pacifism and things like that. But that's for another time. Then at the bottom of the next hour, we'll be talking with the director of Jihad Watch, Robert Spencer, will be on the program. Did you hear that the ISIS militant who beheaded an Army Ranger got a Christmas present early, and it was a drone strike missile? So the United States conducted an airstrike, and according to reports, the ISIS militant who beheaded a former Army Ranger was taken out of this world. So we'll be talking with the purveyor of Jihad Watch coming up at 7:33. But I start today, this Christmas, by this story over. Well, we've got a couple stories here. Let's go to the let's go to the Daily Wire article first. Okay, the Daily Wire reports that radio stations are banning certain Christmas songs because they promote date rape. Now, this one's going to be "Baby It's Cold Out." You ever hear that song, "Baby It's Cold Outside"? Well, no, I don't see. I disagree. I think this just shows. If you listen to "Baby It's Cold Outside" and the first thing that you think of is rape, well, not after, yeah. I just think it's just demonstrating that we really have completely lost this. I think the left is winning. Let me just say that. They're figuring out some way to somehow get us to reject the biological norms between men and women. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when you were dating or courting women, there was clearly a difference, right? You were a man, and I don't know about women out there, but I mean, I'm pretty sure when it comes to my wife, like I can tell when she enjoys being pursued. You know what I'm saying? And but maybe that's just me. And here's a song, "Baby It's Cold Outside." I gotta get home. No, stay. It's cold outside. These are not. This is something that's been going on forever, since men and women have existed. And now all of a sudden, a radio station, no, don't do that. We can't play this because it's a little rapey for us. So the radio station bans classic Christmas song because it allegedly promotes date rape. This is Paul. How would you say that last name? Boas? Just Paul Boas. I'm gonna go. Although I have Paul Boys. He writes, "It sure is cold outside, barely even December yet, and the snowflakes are everywhere, pushing political correctness wherever they fall. Baby, it's bad out there." The classical seasonal song, "Baby It's Cold Outside," has now been banned by a Cleveland radio station after listeners complain it allegedly promotes date rape. And that is according to CBS News. Star 102 Cleveland listeners raised concerns about the lyrics of the song "Baby It's Cold Outside," with some saying the words send the wrong message in the era of the Me Too movement. Now, I have to say something about this. I'm going to make an observation here. For a long time, you have people generally on the right or who are more conservative who have been claiming that there is a war on Christmas because because of the religious connotations, because people are, they're worried that they're going to offend somebody, and Christmas is a religious holiday, even though it's very commercialized, but because it has the name Christ in it. And the people who claim that there's a war on Christmas are correct. Now, how Christians respond to that marginalization is up for debate. There are good ways to react to it, and there are bad ways. Me personally, if somebody wishes me happy holidays, I don't really necessarily feel, I can tell them Merry Christmas, and I do, but I don't feel the need to certainly be like, "Merry Christmas to you." And maybe that's stereotypical reaction that doesn't quite exist, but you understand, right? But there's no question that there is a, quote, war on Christmas, because it's not just happy holidays. Do you remember when the used to have a Christmas break, right? It was a Christmas break. Well, now that is what is that now? That's a winter break, right? You can't say Christmas, that's a winter break. Then, of course, you used to have a Christmas party at your work, but now it can't be a Christmas party, it's a holiday party. So it is preposterous to try to argue, if you're on the left, that there's not some sort of effort in society to take Christ out of Christmas because, all because we don't want to offend somebody. That's the reality, okay? But it doesn't stop there, does it? So the left is just all about whatever the outrage is today, that's what they want to be about. Whatever they can change that used to be offensive in the past. So people used to celebrate Christmas, or there was a Christian consensus across America. Oh, how offensive. We've got to change that. And now it never ends. I just don't think there is any appeasing the issues that they're having. Whether it's the issues with history of, I can't believe that America still exists today and is prosperous when we had slaves in the past at some point. We have a generation of people who can't recognize the fact that men are not perfect, and yet things still continue forward and progress, in America's case, in a positive trajectory for the most part, because there's also some really other bad things that have happened, We can't figure that out. So we have to tear down or Confederate monuments, or we have to, eliminate history altogether. And it's all because they can't reconcile the problems of this world, right? And a lot of that is because the Christian consensus or moral compass has been pushed out of our secular life at all. And so that's a big problem as well. So now it's, Baby, It's Cold Outside, right? It is a Christmas time song, has nothing to do with the actual religious holiday, but it is something that you hear around the winter. And now we have a new battleground where we have people who, we have to appease something else that someone is offended by. And so now it goes beyond even Christmas, because now it's about what? The Me Too movement, which the Me Too movement is something that is extremely new in the last, year or two. And so, and this could change, literally this could all change tomorrow, right? If the mainstream media, this is how powerful they are, if the mainstream media started doing exposés on all of the men who were falsely accused by women, all of a sudden the Me Too movement would lose credibility overnight. And you would never hear about it again. And then maybe people wouldn't have such a problem with Baby, It's Cold Outside. But everybody's so hypersensitive, right? Now, they're never going to do that, because right now it's all about dividing. And they've succeeded for the most part, although Donald Trump is his presidency, at least, is kind of messing up their plans, because, black approval of the president's job is continuing to go up, and it is above what it would traditionally be for a Republican president. But they want to divide us, right? And at this point, they want to divide men and women, because again, it's another attack on the family unit. Especially if they can get married couples to start to, disagree with one another, because you're a man and I'm a woman and we're different. So, let's see here. On Tuesday, it says radio host Glenn Anderson wrote how the station came to the decision ultimately to kick the classic song off its Christmas music roster. We used to play the song Baby, It's Cold Outside, but you're the Christmas executive officer at Star 102, and you told us it's no longer appropriate. I got to be honest, I didn't understand why the lyrics were so bad until I read them. So we have people... And I guess this is natural in any society over time. You look back and you think, how in the world were we able to do that? I mean, my hope is one day that's how we'll view abortion. One day people will look back and be like, wait a second. They did what for birth control? They just, maybe one day, comedy will be good. And comedians will look back at this time as the dark ages where freedom of speech was squashed because you couldn't offend somebody. I was having this conversation with some family last night, just how you can't be funny anymore. You can't make observations because you're going to be called a racist or you're going to be called a bigot for stuff that's not racist or bigoted. It's just, observations. But anyway. Telephone number 870-275-9799. When we come back, I'll tell you how Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is also seriously problematic because it's promoting bullying and racism and bigotry and, you guessed it, homophobia. Who knew Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was gay? We'll have that story for you when we come back.
It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
I want to welcome to the program. We have Mr. David Bossie is on the line. David is the former deputy campaign manager for the 2016 Trump campaign. David, it's a privilege to meet you, sir.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You are the co-author with Corey Lewandowski of a new book called Trump's Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. Tell us a little bit about the book. Why do you guys want to write this?
Well, this is our second book together. Last year we wrote Let Trump Be Trump, which was our kind of our feel-good campaign book about how the president ended up winning that race that he didn't have a chance to win. And then this year we decided after the first 2 years of his presidency to make sure the American people knew exactly what this president was up against.
Bob Maloney here with a developing story from ASA News The Parrot. China is coming to Arkansas. We go live to the press conference where the Communist Chinese executive is addressing Arkansans for the first time. Let's listen into the translator.
On behalf of the government of the People's Republic of China, we invite you to come and visit the newest named city in Arkansas, China, Delphia. We are very pleased to own an American city. Our communist government is proud to do business with the mediocre state of Arkansas. We are happy to take your money and your trees and send the profits back home. The Communist government of China was pleased to learn the taxpayers of Arkansas are excited to contribute their money with the hope, if you build it, one day jobs will come. We are excited to take your fields of capitalism and turn them into fields of communism, where every Arkansan has nightly dreams of Mao. China is looking forward to our investment of $1 billion in what is now called Arkansas. We see this as an investment in our future, and that future will be called New Beijing. Chinese investment will make Arkansas a great place for jobs as the People's Republic of China will succeed where the Soviets failed. As we build our roots deep in Arkansas, we are thrilled with the potential new ideas and advancement we will share with our people back home. Soon we will have the world's largest runway in the South China Sea, and we thank Arkansas for contributing to our noble cause. In closing, once we make China great again, all of you will see the glory of the revolution of Mao. And Arkansas, whatever you do, please never call the FBI.
Paul Harrell, Parrot. Need your daily news fix? Don't forget to tune in to Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Yeah, so we were just talking. I got a great text message here. Like, if the left is going to now start calling radio stations and talking about offensive songs like "Baby It's Cold Outside" because it's too rapey, then they're going to have a claim against literally every rock and roll song that there is. Because, how many... yeah, exactly. Like, how many rock and roll songs? And not to mention, I mean, will that bleed over into rap? Because you want to talk about the pursuit or objectification of women. I'm just saying, but I mean, the rock and roll for sure. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I have an update real quick.
Okay, what's the update?
The guy over in Europe that was trying to get his age changed, he got denied.
He got denied. The 60-something-year-old guy that wanted to be 59?
49. He wanted to drop his age 20 years.
Wow.
He got denied.
So he legally can't self-identify as a 49-year-old, so he can look more appealing on Tinder. In other news, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer over at the Blaze, Dave Urbanski,
back in the 90s,
the beloved Christmas movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has been called out as seriously problematic for its displays of bullying, racism, homophobia, not to mention verbal abuse, sexism, bigotry, lack of acceptance, and exploitation of workers. An exploitation of workers? Is that the elves or the reindeer themselves that are slaves? It's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is pro-slavery. That's what a video courtesy of the Huffington Post declared Wednesday, even calling the protagonist Rudolph the marginalized reindeer in its opening montage. Viewers are noticing the tale may not be so jolly after all. The holiday TV classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is seriously problematic. The clip flashed screenshots of a couple of tweets that take issue with Rudolph's storyline, with one calling it a parable on racism and homophobia, with Santa as a bigoted, exploitative, prick is what it says here, end quote. And another accusing Santa's operation of being an HR nightmare. That's in serious need of diversity and inclusion training. So here we go. And this, but there's not any sort of war on Christmas, and it's now beyond that, by the way.
The folks working against her, the vast right-wing conspiracy without any evidence without it being true. Here, there is a vast left-wing conspiracy against this president, and that's what we talk about in this book. It's the intelligence community, the FBI, certain members of the FBI who are now since been fired. It is the members of the mainstream media, members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, even some Republicans. We talk about some folks in his administration. We name names. It's important that the American people understand that during the campaign, there was a concerted effort by people using their positions and badges to use intelligence agencies to undermine and defeat this president. It's never been done before in American history, and it ought not be done again.
Do you think some of these people in these intelligence agencies that were actively, trying to stop the president from being the president or spying on his campaign, do you think they have something to hide?
Oh, of course. That's why they've all been fired for the most part. There's still a couple still working there. How Bruce Orr is still at the Department of Justice, I have no idea. And his wife, Nellie Orr, of course, was the conduit between Fusion GPS, the company led by Glenn Simpson, who created this fake Russian dossier. So there are people that need to be held accountable. We're going to continue to talk about this and make sure that they're held accountable. It is important that this does not happen again. I hope. Look, this is a very frustrating thing for the president to go through. It is very unfair, very frustrating. He's had so many accomplishments and he's been so successful. But I just wonder what he could have done without this stigma of this, fake Russia collusion story hanging over his head. And that's what I think the American people are going to recognize that at the end of the day, because after 2 years and $40 million spent, there's not one shred of evidence that there was any collusion or coordination between the Russians and our campaign. It's just very simple. Hillary Clinton ran a terrible campaign. She was a terrible candidate, and she forgot where Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin were. That you can't blame the Russians for that.
Yeah. Yeah, but they certainly want to. They don't want to admit that their message was rejected,
That's right. That's exactly
right. We're talking with Mr. David Bossie. He is the author of Trump's Enemies, How the Deep State is Undermining the Presidency. Now, I did an interview with Congressman Devin Nunes. Of course, it's
the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Excuse me, 870. I'm sorry. It's only Tuesday, and the radio host is having trouble speaking to the audience. 870-275-9799. So I want to welcome to the program and introduce you to a guy by the name of Richard Harris. Richard is a candidate for the mayor of Russellville, and I know the runoff election is today. Richard, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, Paul. Thank you.
Just first of all, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to run.
Well, Paul, I've worked worked for Entergy for 34 years. I retired in 2015. I've been an engineer and worked in operations at the Arkansas Nuclear One here in Russellville. And I did serve a couple of terms on the city council during that period of time. Felt like it was something I wanted to do to just contribute to the city and try to make some impact on the direction of the city. So served 2 terms. After 2 terms, I got off the city council because I do work in the private sector, and I was very busy at the time. But early this year, the issue of a casino in Pope County, actually a casino in Arkansas, came up, and I just didn't like the stance of the leaders in our community on the casino issue, so I felt like I should run to give the citizens an option as to which direction they wanted their community to go.
And you have to forgive me, but I haven't really seen this reported, and I don't really know, but are there leaders in the city of Russellville that are excited about the idea of a casino? Do they think that's a good thing for the city of Russellville?
Well, early on, Paul, there were some leaders that were excited about it, but I think they measured the sentiment of the citizens in Pope County and recognized that it wasn't a winning position for them going forward into, especially if they were running for re-election. So they kind of dampened their enthusiasm to a large extent, and the citizens, as you probably know, overwhelmingly rejected the casino amendment in Pope County in the general election. So I think a lot of the leaders that were enthusiastic and wanted to come out on the front of this kind of decided they better do it more covertly than overtly in order to protect their status in the community.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it seems to me like, wow, that would kind of be not the government. I don't think people would want. They would just want their leaders to be honest with them about how they felt about an issue. If they really are looking at the books, though, and they're thinking, government getting, more money here means that the government can do more and more things, then, I mean, if that's their mentality, then you would think they would be on board with the casino, right? Because it's supposed to generate a bunch of new revenue, right?
Well, yeah, and depending on who you talk to, the numbers vary. But, to me, Paul, it's not about the numbers. It's about the community. It's about the impact on our community, on our children that we're going to be raising in this community. The dollars are not that important when it comes to our core values, and we can make money. This state community is not hurting financially. This county is not hurting financially. We can grow. We can prosper. We don't need casino money to have productive and fruitful lives here in Polk County.
So what happened? Weren't there two issues on the ballot? I mean, there was one that the whole state voted on. Casinos, yes or no, and then wasn't there another specific one on the ballot for those of Polk County where they could come back at a later date and reject this thing?
Yeah, Paul. The very frustrating. The Arkansas law is what the Arkansas law is, and it allows anyone who can get a ballot initiative get enough signatures to put to change our state constitution, and that's what happened in this case. In Polk County, the citizens of Polk County weren't asked if we wanted to be on this initiative, who wanted a casino. So a select few people decided that Polk County should have a casino, and so they got the signatures on the amendment title, and they got it passed through and the state Supreme Court supported it, and ultimately the citizens of Arkansas voted for that amendment. But what we wanted to do was take over some control ourselves, and so we initiated, the citizens for a Better Polk County initiated a ballot initiative for Polk County, which allowed for the citizens to have a vote on this before a casino could be built in our county. And that passed overwhelmingly in the general election.
Okay. So that one passed overwhelmingly in the general, and then the casino, amendment was, it failed overwhelmingly when it comes to Polk County, and I think that's significant. So, and again, we're talking with Richard Harris. He's a candidate for Russellville mayor. I know the runoff's today. So Richard, what does that mean going forward? You would think that there's going to be another vote at some point where people formally say no casinos allowed in Polk County, right?
I think that's the intent of those that supported that particular Polk County initiative, yes, is that we would have a vote at some point in the future to decide for ourselves. Obviously, the results of the general election, in which we overwhelmingly rejected the amendment to the state constitution for Casino Polk County, kind of indicates that it's going to be a losing proposition if it comes before the citizens at this point. So we'll have to see, when the quorum court and the county judge decide to bring that forward to the county. And I don't know if that'll be next year. I don't know if it'll be the year after.
Okay.
But those who want the casino built will be pushing pretty hard to get that vote going forward pretty soon, I'm sure.
So is, I guess, in your particular race, Russellville mayor, is this the issue? I mean, does your opponent have a different position that you're opposed to the casino? Does your opponent, is he for it, or is this? Do you see it as the issue, but maybe other people don't see it as a big of an issue? What's your take on this?
Well, I started running my candidacy not as a single issue candidate because I feel like I have a lot to offer the citizens of Russellville. But the predominant issue that keeps coming up is the issue of the casino. My opponent has will not take a stand on whether he is for or against the casino. I know early on he was actually on the committee driving Arkansas forward in developing and writing the initiative and pushing forward the initiative to get Polk County included in the constitutional amendment. But when that information was revealed in the local paper, he stated, well, first he stated that he wasn't aware that he was on the committee, and then subsequently asked to be removed from the committee. And since that time, he's indicated that he had no position on whether we had a casino in Russellville or Polk County, okay, and that he says that it's up to the citizens to make that decision. So he hasn't made a stance. I feel very strongly about it, and I feel like as a representative of the citizens, they need to know where I stand on that issue.
Do you know, and I'm glad that you're using this platform to let them know that. Do you know about maybe state representatives or state senators from that area Are they divided on this, or are they in unison, and are they generally for or against this idea? Have they come out publicly in any way that you know?
Paul, everyone that I've talked to, we've got one new state senator, we have one new representative from our district, and several others. And everyone that I have talked to who has stated anything in public has said they are opposed to a casino in Polk County. So, from that perspective, I'm very proud of those elected officials on the state level who have stated unequivocally that they are opposed to a casino.
Well, Richard Harris, candidate for Russellville mayor, sir, I wish you the best of luck and really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. I guess you have plans to go to the polls at some point today.
Well, yes, I do, Paul. I'm a working man, and I've got an employer that expects me to do my job, so I'll be working today, but I will try to break away a couple of times today to get out there and visit with the voters. But unfortunately, I do have a job, and I have to meet my due dates and deadlines. I'll do the best I can.
Imagine that. You have that's great. Well, Richard, I appreciate it, sir. Best of luck to you, okay?
Thank you very much, Paul.
All righty. Folks, that telephone number, 870-275-9799. That's Mr. Richard Harris, candidate for Russellville mayor. We're going to reset and take a break, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
Are you an Arkansas small business owner and tired of government making it harder and harder to survive? Conduit News Radio would like to interview you about your company. Tell us what you do and how you do it, and let us highlight your business as the backbone of Arkansas's economy to a statewide audience. Some politicians and bureaucrats may take you for granted, but here at Conduit News Radio, we put small business first. It's the Conduit News Radio Small Business Spotlight. Call us today to schedule your interview. It's free. 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799.
Russellville-based firearms manufacturer Omega are making clones of the most notable German firearms in the world. These delayed rotor-lock firearms have been and are currently used by law enforcement and military worldwide. At Omega, they manufacture their guns right here in Arkansas and produce the best reproduction in the marketplace that comes with a complete 5-year warranty. At Omega, they take firearm manufacturing seriously and offer discounts to active and retired law enforcement. Whether you're using Omega firearms to defend the public, defend your family, or for target practice, Omega has your back. For pricing, go to omega-guns.com. That's omega-guns.com. If you're like me, you believe that small business is the heart of Arkansas's economic engine, and it should be viewed that way by the politicians in Little Rock. Conduit for Commerce also believes, like you and I believe, policies that achieve less regulation and lower taxation help small business in Arkansas thrive. Other policies like small, constitutionally consistent government and reducing citizen dependency on government keeps it from growing and expanding its influence on our daily lives. Conduit for Commerce works every day to educate the general public and legislators on these important priorities in the name of Arkansas small business. By the way, contributions to Conduit for Commerce are tax deductible. Log on now to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforcommerce.org. Go there now and learn the facts on protecting small business in Arkansas.
It's sad that he's no longer going to be the chairman of the Permanent Select House Intelligence Committee. But I asked him about these FISA applications. I wonder, in the book, do you guys talk any about the importance of the American people needing to see this stuff?
Yeah, we need transparency. So a couple of things. One is I'm urging the president to declassify all of the information that Devin Nunes is talking about, that he's outlined. The FBI interviews, the FISA applications that are currently not able to be seen. I think we need to see all of that for transparency's sake, so that we could see the exact evidence or the created evidence by the FBI agents who wanted to defeat this president and take it and basically lie before a FISA judge. And I think that's important. Secondly, I hope that we have further transparency by the...
Who's next to Zipline?
Me, and I'm really excited about this. Sir, I'm sorry. The zip line has a 350-pound weight limit, and frankly, I do not think it would be safe for you.
Oh, that's okay. I self-identify as 180 pounds, so it's cool.
Sir, that doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm afraid we can't let you ride the zip line. You're too heavy. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this. I thought we had evolved as a society. I thought this was America, but I guess this is just my plight. First slavery, and now fat shaming.
Sir, again, I'm really sorry.
You listen to me. If you don't let me ride, not only will I sue this company for discrimination, I will sue you for damages because right now my feelings are so hurt and I feel embarrassed because I'm holding up the line.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Watch it, mister.
Look, okay, I'm sorry. I just don't think it would be safe for you.
You don't understand. I self-identify as skinny. So you have to let me ride the zip line. The Constitution says so. I get to define my own reality.
Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. Whatever. Ride the zip line. Mike, let this man ride the zip line.
Thank you. Now watch as my self-identity trumps your bigotry. See you on the other side, racist. Here I go! Doctor, thank goodness. What's the prognosis?
Sir, we've done everything we can, and you only have seconds to live.
No, you cannot say that. I do not self-identify as a dead person.
PHP Parody. Exposing the truth and everything the Marble Palace establishment keep trying to cover up. It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Verbal abuse. Verbal abuse, bullying, bigotry, sexism, lack of acceptance, exploitation of workers. Poor Rudolph. Former fans are pointing out Rudolph's father was verbally abusive to him in the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They show a clip of Donner forcing his son Rudolph to wear a fake nose over his red schnoz in order to gain self-respect. I know this is tough to hear. Trigger warnings apply. You'll like it and wear it, Donner hollers at Rudolph. And then the bullying. Don't even get us started on the bullying. It's heartbreaking. Everyone knows that Rudolph's song, the other reindeer, called him names and laughed at him. And even in the movie, the reindeer pile on. From now on, gang, we won't let Rudolph join in any reindeer games, right? It's just because the reindeer are a bunch of bigots. When a doe shows interest in Rudolph despite his red nose, she gets the big old stop sign from her bigot father, who says, "No doe of mine is going to be seen with a red-nosed reindeer." And the sexism when Rudolph's mom wants to join Donner search for their son who ran away in shame. He refused and said, "No, this is man's work." Generally, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, just a total lack of acceptance. Again, Dave Urbanski over at The Blaze writing, besides the terrible time Rudolph endured with others, the movie features an outcast elf who wants to be a dentist and who gets berated. "You'll never fit in," for such a thought as wanting to be a dentist, an elf dentist. these anti-dentites. Anti-elf, anti-dentites. Not to mention all those misfit toys. And then, generally, the North Pole is an exercise. It's a textbook allegory to the exploitation of workers for the big, fat white man in a red suit. Quote, in the end, Rudolph and friends learned the bitter truth, the Huffington Post video says, before noting yet another tweet screenshot which declares the movie teaches that deviation from the norm will be punished unless it is exploitable. Meaning, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer being the hero, using his red nose to light the way for the sleigh on that foggy night so long ago was really just, he was being exploited. So he was useful, but marginalized. There we go. I mean, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer isn't a hero, according to the left. He's not someone who emerges despite all of these things that go bad in his life or despite his plight. No. They really wish, like the left would rather Rudolph, instead of just kind of seeing where the ride takes him, they would have much rather Rudolph just went and voted for a Democrat somewhere that was promising him a guaranteed income and, all the, what do reindeer eat? Hay? Oats? I don't know. That's essentially what the left is saying here, though, right? Like, Rudolph, no. You were born with a disadvantage you can't possibly overcome. You shouldn't have even tried. You should have just, you know what, it'd have been a lot better if the North Pole had been governed by a little bit more political correctness, and then those reindeer would have been put in jail for not letting you play with them. Reindeer, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, folks, a story of bigoted reindeer and a story of anti-togetherness, anti-unity. Speaking of unity, the latest over at Conduit for Action, the headline, "We agree Republican unity is needed." What will make the Republican Party in Arkansas more successful? Some legislators are telling Republican county committees Republicans must quit being divided. Conduit for Action writes that they wholeheartedly agree with this concept. There already is a basis for unity among Republicans. That's the good news. It's called the Principles of the Republican Party of Arkansas. As conservatives, Conduit for Action support the principles adopted by the Republican rank and file. These Republican committee members have worked hard for many years promoting the Republican Party and conservative values. As it happens, the Republican politicians who are calling for unity are big government tax and spend politicians who expect your undivided loyalty no matter what they do. For example, they are the politicians who championed laws that added taxes on unemployment compensation, new and used tires, digital downloads, soft drinks, and soda. Laws that added the burden of Arkansas paying for the liberal Democrat program, Obamacare, Medicaid expansion. A law creating a big new government bureaucracy in Arkansas's environmental agency to monitor vehicles' tires from cradle to grave, and supported more tax, and who still support passing more taxes on you, including an internet sales tax and higher prices of gasoline and diesel fuel. Their idea of unity is to ignore the principles. The principles stand in opposition to the big government policies that benefit special interests. So, if you want to unify, if the Republican Party doesn't want to be divided here in Arkansas, it's real simple. It's the simplest thing maybe ever. The principles of the Republican Party that are listed and agreed upon by county committees, there's a list of them. I'm going to give them to you. You ready? The power of faith in God, the sanctity of life, individual responsibility and initiative, individual freedom and liberty secured by a limited government, private property, lower taxes to produce economic growth, strong national defense, the personal right to own and bear arms, the equal and just enforcement of the law, and separate and equal branches of government. That's all. If you want to unify around something, right? We don't unify around personalities, and specifically with the Arkansas Republican Party, people are talking about we need to quit being divided. Well, I think Republicans can agree on these things. Go ahead and show them, Joe, if you'll scroll down. They can agree on these principles right here. Power, faith in God, sanctity of life, individual responsibility and initiative, individual freedom and liberty secured by a limited government, private property, lower taxes, strong national defense, personal right to own and bear arms, equal enforcement of the law, and separate and equal branches of government. Now, here's the rub. When somebody deviates from one of these things in a practical sense, meaning they have a bill that doesn't support one of these principles or works to undermine it or actually works to implement the opposite of that, yeah, what are we supposed to do then? Are we supposed to say, well, that person's a high-ranking official in the Republican Party in terms of, and we can't criticize them? I mean, that's an idea. That's one way to go. What do you think should happen when that happens, when there is that contradiction there, when there is that lack of unity? What do you think should happen? I want to remind you what the whiteboard says. Our whiteboard today throughout the rest of the week says this, and it's just a polite suggestion. We need to be cautious that we don't get red rhetoric and blue results. Red rhetoric, blue results. I don't want blue results, right? I'd actually rather not have the red rhetoric if we're going to get blue results. I'd like red rhetoric and red results. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. For more information, check out conduitnews.com. Click on store. For those of you listening right now online, we're going to end this video, this stream, and we're starting a second video coming up here in 5 minutes. Back in a minute.